Hello, everyone. So, for the last several episodes, we've talked about some of the problems that we've observed in the senior leadership in across all services, and so I want to kind of shift focus a little bit and talk about what makes a good senior leader. And in this episode, I want to talk about one that I've observed firsthand. And then later episodes, I'm going to bring an expert on leadership, a retired Marine by the name of Mike Etor. This man is absolutely incredible and has written several books on leadership and is an authority as far as I'm concerned on what makes a good leader. And I'll bring him on to the show, and we'll discuss his views on leadership. But for this segment, I want to talk about a general officer that I had great admiration for. And unfortunately, he passed away. And one of my goals was to bring him onto this show and talk about leadership and talk about the Marine Corps. And many of you probably know him. His name was General Richard Neal. He was Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps. And so let's talk about his career, and then I'll go into some personal vignettes. So General Neal was born in 1942 in Hull, Massachusetts, and was commissioned in the United States Marine Corps in 1965 from Northeastern University in Boston. Now, keep in mind, Northeastern University in those days used to have a massive ROTC program, approximately about 2,000 students and whatnot. So he graduates from there. He becomes an artillery officer, which I won't hold against him, and deploys to the Republic of Vietnam with 3rd Marine Division, and is assigned as an FO with 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines. Highly decorated in Vietnam, and he goes back to Vietnam in 1970 as an infantry advisor to the Vietnamese Marine Corps. Then he returns back to the United States, goes to the Amphibious Warfare School, and then goes and commands the 2nd 155 Howitzer Battery with the 2nd Field Artillery Group at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. And then after that, he's assigned to the Headquarters Marine Corps and attends the Marine Corps Command and Staff College and whatnot, and then goes back to the Amphibious Warfare School as an instructor. And he's promoted to Lieutenant Colonel in 1981. He attends the National War College, that most lieutenant colonels do. And then upon completion of the War College, he goes back to Camp Lejeune and commands 5th Battalion, 10th Marines. After that, he's promoted to colonel in 1985 and goes down to Central Command down at MacDill Air Force Base in Florida, and is chief of plans and strategy. And then after that comes back to the Amphibious Warfare School as director of AWS, which is a very, very prestigious position, and it's got an incredible amount of influence because you've got a couple of hundred captains every year that you're influencing. Then he's selected for Brigadier General in 1989 and is assigned to Headquarters Marine Corps. But in 1990, when Desert Storm breaks out, he's sent down again to CENTCOM and becomes a Deputy of Operations at U.S. Central Command for Desert Shield and Desert Storm. Now, many of you probably remember him watching him on TV because he used to give the briefs, the daily briefs that CENTCOM started.
Desert Storm. Air operations continued throughout the area of operations. Our focus remains on the Republican Guards, battlefield preparation, and restrike and striking of strategic targets.
So he's always on CNN and other news programs. And after that, he returns back to the United States and is a Deputy Commanding General for 2MEF. And then he serves as a Commanding General for JTF, Operation Gitmo, which was a humanitarian relief effort for the Haitian migrants at Guantanamo Bay Naval Base. Following that, he is promoted to Major General in 1993 and is assigned as the Commanding General of the 2nd Marine Division. Now, this is where I came in contact with him because I was assigned to 1st Battalion, 2nd Marines in those days. And he was an incredible general officer, an incredible division command. Keep this in mind. He's an artillery officer commanding an infantry division. I'm not sure I know of too many artillery officers that have commanded an infantry division in recent history. Nonetheless, and I'll talk about some of his leadership styles, shortly. But I just want to finish out his career. Then he goes back down to Central Command as Chief of Staff. Following that, he is promoted to General in 1996 and assumes the duties as Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps, and retires after 36 years of phenomenal career. A highly decorated Marine. He's got a couple of Silver Stars, Bronze Star, Combat V, Purple Heart, and just an incredible person. And the reason I admired him so much was for a couple of reasons. When he was a division commander, he was not a big person. He was a short person, probably around 5'8", skinny, and but tough. He was really tough, and he inspired you, and he believed in physical fitness. So he had a program down at Camp Lejeune where it was burn the general runs. And as a Marine, you go out there, run with the general, and if you beat him, you get his coin or 96 or what have you. And he was always out there interacting with the Marines. He had a very interesting leadership philosophy because he believed that a leader should look at the organization through the eyes of the others within that organization.
I found that the key to being a successful leader is to see the organization through the eyes of your people. I repeat, to see the organization through the eyes of your people. What do I mean by that? To me, it allows you to see what's right. It allows you to see what's wrong, and then to work together. Emphasis on the word together and fixing it. What this does is it creates a climate of trust and loyalty, a culture of engagement, and a commitment in your teammates followers.
And so he's always personable and always out and about. And and this is where I kind of ran into him as a division commander. And obviously, he'd always come out and watch our training and whatnot, and we'd always be out there. Bravo 1-2 lived in the field. I mean, that's what we did. So I'd run across him often when he's out touring what's going on on the training ranges. One time he came up to me, jokingly, he said, "Hey, Genghis, I think you might be the only guy that could probably beat me on a run." Being a smart ass, I said, "Yes, sir, I think I can." Well, long and behold, next day when we're back in garrison, I get a phone call, be at this division headquarters in PT gear to go on a run with the commanding general. And I'm thinking, my God, what the hell did I do? Nonetheless, so, I show up and we go on a run along River Road. And I'll tell you what, the guy was a stud. Now, remember, in those days, I could run a 3-mile PFT in under 16 minutes, I could run. But General Neal, he thrashed me pretty good. At the end, I may have been able to beat him. I don't know. But he's a commanding general. I had my lungs coming out of my nose, and he humbled me. But not only did he humble me, but he inspired me. And I was like, man, this old man can kick my ass in a run, and I was quite impressed. But it really goes beyond that. He was an inspiring individual. He is somebody that you wanted to be around because he made you feel good about yourself. He wanted to emulate General Neal. He was very personable. He genuinely cared about the Marines. He would talk to anybody and everyone that he could, and he was genuinely interested. And he'd stand there and listen to you, and he wanted you to be honest with everybody. And later on, when my incident happened, he was one of the 4 Marines that stood by me. And he's retired by then, but he actually went to Amos and told him, "I think you fired the wrong guy." And he was heartbroken. He's like, "Genghis, I don't know what the hell happened, but we need people like you in the Marine Corps, and you need to stick around." I said, "Sir, I get it, but I'm going to move on. The Marine Corps has changed, and I'm going to retire." And we kind of kept in touch when he'd retired. And he'd written a book, a very influential book that every staff and young officer should read, very simply titled, "What Now, Lieutenant?" And it's about his leadership principles and his experiences. General Neal was not only an incredible Marine, but he was just an incredible human being and somebody I admired immensely. And it's really sad. I'm kind of heartbroken that he passed away, and he's at Heaven's Gate. I really wanted him to come on to Sentinel, and talk to all the audience here about what leadership's all about. In my mind, he was the last of the Mohicans. Generals after him and after General Gray were never really the same. The last era of the Vietnam officers was sort of going into the twilight, and then we got this new breed of general officers, and we are where we are now. So I've got the utmost respect and regard for somebody like General Neal, who in my mind was an epitome of a general officer and a human being. And so it's with respect, that I do this episode in his memory. And I look forward to future episodes on leadership, of what positive leadership is all about, and how to lead Marines in not only garrison but also in combat. And General Neal was definitely a leader, and think about that, artillery officer leading an infantry division, and quite frankly, he was probably one of the better division commanders that I'd observed. And I also say this because of my experience in the Marine Corps. Now you got to keep in mind that when I was an instructor at the MACTAF Staff Training Program, we traveled across the entire Marine Corps. And, so I got to observe many general officers, and I also got to instruct the new general officers at the General Officers Warfighting Program. So I've got a pretty good idea of the type of generals we have and what's expected of a general officer. A general officer is not meant to be sitting behind a computer and exchanging emails and servicing his career. A general officer is supposed to be out and about like General Neal was. He was always out and about. You either saw him running, or he'd come, to the training ranges, or he'd be, checking the battalion or the regimental areas to make sure everything was squared away. That's leadership, in my opinion. If you've been fortunate enough to serve with General Neal, please leave a comment and let us know your experiences with him, or any other general similar in style and leadership like General Neal was. And the reason I want you to leave these comments is because it becomes a repository for future young officers, in all services, in the Army, Marines, Navy, and Air Force, to go in there and see what the veterans are saying about what a good officer should be. And so I think it's important for us to leave comments from our experiences and leave lessons so the future officers, staff NCOs, and NCOs can learn from Sentinel and from this group of veterans that we have on this platform. So please don't forget to leave a comment. What a great loss to the Marine Corps and to our nation. So I salute General Neal. God bless. Semper Fidelis. And hopefully our paths will cross again at Heaven's Gate. That's all I got. Stay rugged. Stay united. Khan out.